Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Waffles RC. We are going to get back on and hopefully finish our little 24 scale. If you haven't seen the first video, this is being built for a local veteran. I'm giving it to her. It was sponsored essentially by Bill, who sent the majority of the parts that are needed for this build. So we are just going to keep going on. Let's get some parts out so you guys can see what I have ordered to complete and hopefully drive this little thing by the end of this video. So last week I put in the video the list of parts that we needed. So we have new shocks, drive shafts, because you know those are kind of necessary to drive, an ESC so we can make it drive, some batteries, and a transmitter. I know I don't feel like moving the camera, but you can see it's a transmitter. So we are going to put all of this into this. So let's get started. So I had to get my carburetor rebuild tray essentially out because everything is very small, if you guys remember, and I don't want to lose it on my workbench. First things first that I'm going to do is the shocks. Get those on. We have all the hardware plus some spare springs depending on weight, and also these will be going with the truck to its new owner. We have some 24 Yep stickers. This one I will not cut. Then we also have these ones, and I think she is going to get a kick out of those, so I won't cut that one. I have the cut one on my toolbox already, so that's staying. Just want to say thank you to 24 Yep for sending those stickers. Stickers are actually really cool, very good quality as well. If you guys are new to the 24 scale stuff, go check his channel out. I'll put a link down in the description, so that way you guys can just go right to his channel. He's got some really cool stuff that he does over there, and it's all 24 scale stuff. Go figure, 24 Yep. Who would have thought? So go check him out. But for now, the 10 scale guy is going to guess his way through a 24 scale and see how badly we can mess this up. So once again, if you're new to the 24 scale stuff, I now know a little bit more because I have learned by putting that one together how everything is actually supposed to work. So you have your pivot ball, you put the little rubber bands after you put it inside of the shock, like so, and then put the rubber bands on either side. Put the rubber band on the flat side first, then another rubber band over here, then you are set and good to go. And you have to do that 8 times. So gather your patience, kids, and no, I don't know, just keep going. That's all you can really do. Now I have to see if I can see this stuff. There are pros and cons when it comes to being an adult with adult money and the mind of a 14-year-old. For example, and you guys thought I was going to do the phone bit again. We have glasses now, and glasses with lights. Now we can work on a 24 scale. Yep. Now we can see. The lights are pretty pointless, but certainly helps. Hey, everything looks way bigger. This is nice. There we go. It was too funny not to get those. They were like 20 bucks, but that's what happens, like I said just before. The benefits and downfalls of having adult money with the mind of a child. So let's actually work on something now. Well, I got the shocks on. Was not fun or easy, but here they are. I did move them from the original shock tower location. I've done this with a couple of mine. Well, no, I haven't, because I've made most of mine. So ignore what I just said. After watching a few different videos, moving them, I think will allow, it definitely allows for more travel. So hopefully that will help. If you really want to go into detail about how these things can perform, don't watch this. There are tons of YouTubers out there that are really good with 24 scales. I am not one of them because this is my first one and it's really fun. But it's going to a good home. That's all I have to remember. So next, let's get our drive shafts on while we still have access to stuff. This will be fun. I did get the Muse metal drive shafts. Not a lot on this thing is metal, but you know, I gotta make it heavier somehow. You guys know how I am. We need to make it heavy. Got these, so let me struggle these onto this thing somehow, some way, and we'll be back to move on to the next part. Okay, I have found one thing that I do like about the 24 scales more than the 10 scales. The pinion shaft and the drive shafts are keyed. That's nice. Honestly, it really is. So it only really goes on one way. You can't sit there and spin. That's actually really smart. So there's my one thing that I am more impressed about the 24 scale than the 10 scale so far. We're not done yet, but that's a really smart idea. I like that. We have our drive shafts on. So now we need to put an ESC in. I went with this one. You can read that. Pause it at your leisure. This was affordable, and it says for brushed, and I believe this plug should work with this ESC. I don't know. The plugs are really small. And the chassis that Bill sent does have the trays for your battery and for your ESC, or vice versa, I'm sure, because I know that you can put batteries and ESCs and all sorts of stuff in all sorts of places on these things. I've seen battery be mounted on the front axle. Don't know how that's done with that little amount of space, but hey, more power to you. These are factory SCX10, or see, I'm a 10 scale guy. SCX 24 axles. They're factory. They do have spacers on them to kick the wheels out a little bit further. I cannot find the tool that I had in the last video. I don't know where that went, so I just had to do those shocks without taking the wheels off, and now the wheels are just going to stay there because I can't take them off. Now, once again, this is not a how-to video. This is a how can a 10 scale guy do at building his very first 24 scale. And so far, it's a struggle to say the least. But I am getting more confident in putting this thing together and taking it apart, you know, figuring out how it all works. Like, I'm getting more comfortable, and I'm sure it's like that with any scale, whether it's 24 scale, 10 scale, 6 scale, 6 scale. So we have instructions, a doula whopper, some more doula whoppers. I don't know what any of this stuff does. I have to read. I want to make sure I hook this up correctly and not just blow everything out because I don't know what I'm doing. So, be right back. So I have discovered, because of the body that I chose to go with, the battery is going to have to go right here, and the ESC will have to go back here, along with what I didn't think of, you know, the receiver to make this a remote control car. So that's how that's going to be. But it does help out because it puts more weight towards the front, so it helps with climbing. So now I have to stick all this into its spots, I guess, and then zip tie it all up. Also, in my discovery of reading, it came with a bunch of different adapters to adapt to this particular ESC. I just have a little adapter that goes from, I believe, a stock motor into this ESC, and it comes with a couple of different other adapters depending on which motor you choose to run. So that's kind of neat. Then we have this, which has to go to a receiver, which means I have to get that out. So let me take all that apart, get the receiver out, power this thing up, and see what happens. I guess. I don't know. I do need to zip tie a bunch of wires, you know, kind of out of the way. Okay, that is the struggled layout that I have come up with. Battery, ESC, receiver, probably too big for this particular RC, but you know what? It can only do so much, right? Kind of limited on space. And without any reference in front of me to go on, you can only really go so far with looking at videos of how to set one of these things up or how to do the layout for the electronics and the battery and stuff, mainly because these things are so heavily customized out in the world that it's not really like this. And since I'm customizing it too, it's not like anything else either. But there's so many different configurations out there, just like the 10 scales. So it's kind of a guess and hope kind of situation. I really don't know what to do about the receiver's antenna. I may just like shove it through the body and have it stick up that high. I think it would be hilarious. If not, I'll zip tie it somewhere. So now to the body that I have chosen as well. This is the body that I chose. The person who is receiving this particular RC, this is one of her favorite colors. So that is why we went with this one. After discussing with some people, I realized that I ordered the wrong one for this chassis particular wheelbase. This is for the shorter wheelbase. This is a longer wheelbase. But you know what? It's fine. We're just gonna make it work because I'm not gonna order another one of these. But what that does mean is that I actually get to cut this thing. Basically, long story short, it's going to have great approach and departure angles. And I also just noticed that the body won't go on with where I put the ESC. Cool. Maybe test fit before sticking everything down with double-sided tape. In my professional opinion, that's probably what should be done. Okay, so this is the layout that I chose to go with because of this particular body. Now it all clears, but what I have to do now is, because it has this pivot thing on the back, what I need to do is cut the front of the frame and the back of the frame, because, well, I can't just leave anything alone now, can I? The wheelbase is going to be quite long for it, but if I take just a little bit out of the back and just a little bit out of the front, this thing's gonna look perfect. My cutoff wheel is almost, well, the cutoff wheel thing itself is bigger than this RC. Overkill much on my part? Whatever. How often do you see that in the 24 scale world? Somebody using a grinder or a 4.5 inch cutoff wheel to modify a frame? I would say not very often. Okay, I would say that that is now successfully modified. My goodness, all my tools are too big for this thing. I want to go back to my semi. Now it's just a personal thing. It's nothing, once again, it's nothing against anything about the 24 scale. It is all about personal preference. And if you prefer these things, rock on, man. That is all that matters. This is not my personal cup of tea, but we're making it work. And like I've said also, it's a good learning experience. Can't say that I dislike working on a 24 scale if I've never worked on a 24 scale. And now I have, and I can tell you this much. I dislike working on a 24 scale. All right, keep all fingers and toes away from the frame rails on this thing because they are sharp. Now we're down a point on the 24 scales. I broke the screw while screwing it into plastic. I mean, come on. I say one good compliment about this thing, and then it goes and does that. But you know what? It opens. It's just now held with a screw and a stud. Hopefully that won't be too detrimental to it, but you know, it's all I can really do. So one cool thing about this particular body from Injora, I don't think I specified that earlier, is that you can do a tube chassis on the back, which I personally like, or you can do bedsides. So I'm going to put the bedsides on it because my wife said that that is what she would like for more color. So you know what? That's what we'll do. But we're going to be careful this time and not break the head of a bolt off while screwing it into plastic, which is ridiculous that that's even a possibility, but hey, I'm new to the 24th. That should be a sticker. I'm new and I don't know what to do. And if you get that reference, you are close to the same age as me. That, or you have very good taste in movies. Gonna need the glasses again. Can't see what I'm doing. So yes, the glasses were just a joke, but I honestly can't see anything out of them. They're designed for jewelry, so you have to have it like right here to be able to see. It's kind of ridiculous, but it looked funny. And that is what I was going for. All right, and here is a completed 24 scale little truck thing. So I'm gonna put batteries in the transmitter, put a battery in this thing, turn it on, and hope that it works. But while I do this, I did want to discuss what I've learned from this adventure with this thing. Yes, I may bring up a lot of stink about how small everything is, and that's quite hard for me, to be completely honest. But I will say one of the benefits of it is that they are quite simple, to be 100% honest. Like, there's not a lot to them, at least in this particular configuration. Now, it also makes me appreciate the people who do like proper scale builds in this size. The scale details that they do, like anybody who does any type of like proper scale build, whether it's 10 scale, 6 scale, 24 scale, 30th scale, because that's coming out. The people that can do that, I've always had a very strong appreciation for it. I joke around about scale points and stuff like that, but the reality is I'm not good at that, so I don't really try. But people who are able to do full like scale details and stuff like that, man, you guys are talented. That's just the honest truth. Like, this is bare bones simple as it gets, not going crazy with it kind of thing. And this was hard. So the fact that you guys can do like full scale builds on these things is just incredible. I will never do one, so don't even ask. Okay, all right, so that is on. Let's put a battery in this thing somehow, some way. Didn't think this part through very much, did I? Figure out how to plug this thing in. Ooh, once again, did not measure that very well. Okay, so turn that on. Turn this on. Is it bound? Yes, it is. Is it turning the correct way? Yes, it is. Okay. Does it drive? It drives backwards, but that's why I went with the Dumbo RC one, because we just steering, throttle, hit reverse on that. It drives. Oh, you guys can't even see, can you? Is this turned up all the way? Oh, there we go. Now we're turned up. See? Very simple remote. Well, it seems to be doing the things. So let's get out of this area and go get on some rocks. That's the last step for it. All right, well, it's been a week since the last shot. When I said let's get it out on the rocks, I got sick, but we're better. So let's see how this little thing does, because it does drive. I do not know how to drive this thing. Why does it feel like it's just binding up? There it goes. definitely think I need a stronger motor because it doesn't feel like it has a whole lot of power. Yeah, see, that's full throttle and nothing. All right, I don't want to scratch it. Please hold. All right, let's try this way. Oh, okay. There's that too. It's doing okay. Okay, I'm really trying my hardest to not just scratch this thing really bad because, once again, it's not for me. Nope. Okay. What can this thing do? I don't know how to drive them. They're too small. Let's give this a shot. Now I do know for a fact that charging the batteries does help. No, it's just gonna roll again. Do I have this thing turned up all the way? Yeah, it's turned up all the way. I think the batteries are dead. Come on, you little thing. Come on, you can do it. Over the rock you go. Oh, we may be onto something here. And it's stuck again. Well, I can say that my rocks are not conducive to the 24 scale vehiculars. I'm just gonna keep scratching this thing and I don't want to. Try from there, maybe? No. Okay, so while it sits there, thinking about what it's done, this is essentially what I have my rocks built for, is for stuff like this. And by have my rocks built for, it's what I've gotten big rocks for my 10 scales, because, well, I'm a 10 scale guy. And as you can see, the 10 scale can just do all of this with minimal issues. And I said minimal there, not no issues. So as you can see, our 10 scale Toyota does relatively fine. Once again, not perfect. But these are the rocks that I have picked for this particular size of vehicle. So if you put this in comparison, scale-wise versus the vehicle, the 10 scale is on some quite large boulders, one would say. The 24 scale is basically trying to traverse the Grand Canyon. So as you can see here, 24 scale is in some rather large boulders. I think that's one reason why it could be struggling. Whereas the 10 scale, now they are still quite large rocks, but the 10 scale can traverse them much easier than the 24th can. And the 24 scale is left unharmed. I know you can't see it, but I'm still driving the 10 scale. Oh, I guess you can see it still. Now you can't. So I need to figure out how to make that do stuff like that. I think I found the easiest way to get a 24 scale through my 10 scale rocks. Honestly, it's the best it's performed since I finished it. Probably would help if I could drive. Still hanging in there. See, look at how well it performs. It's doing so well. Oh, uh-oh. Probably would have helped if I, like, you know, tied it down a little bit. Hang in there, little buddy. Oh. Alright, well, it's good at hanging on. And I can't hang on anymore. Alright, so I don't want to damage this because it is not for me. We've put a few scratches on it, but I do need your guys' help because I know nothing about these things. I do know it could use overdrive gears in the front axle because it kept separating like that trying to climb up stuff and just driving, and I know that that is one cure for it. And I'm sure some of you are going to say, oh, why do you have so much flex? The shocks are too long and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? That's how I like to set up my stuff. And you can set up your stuff how you like to. The joys of this hobby. But I do need your guys' help. It does perform relatively well. It was mostly my fault. The batteries I just took out of the box when I ordered them and plugged them in. I didn't charge them. So that could be one thing. I don't think there's a lot of tuning on this particular ESC, so I don't think there's a lot that we can do with that. It may need a stronger motor. Should I put a stronger motor in? It is brushed, not brushless. Not trying to completely take away from everything that Bill sent. I do think we should put a little bit bigger of a tire on it, but should I also go on to 24 Yep and get some axles for this thing? Give it a little bit wider stance, because right now it's pretty skinny. Down in the comments, just let me know what else can I do to this thing to make it a little bit better for who it is going to. I want it to perform well for her, and I don't want it to just fall over every time it looks at a rock. Once again, I'm new. I don't know what I'm doing with these things. The rocks that I had it on were way too big of gaps for such a small vehicle. So I'm doing a lot of things wrong, and I admit this. You know what? It happens. But tell me what I should do with this thing, and I will do that. She is going to be given this in just a couple of weeks, so probably won't film the upgrades. Maybe just I'll probably do a quick little bit on what I upgraded in the video of giving it to her. So please let me know. I'm genuinely, I know zero about these things. I'm a 10 scale guy. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for subscribing. We will get this thing dialed in. So the next time you see this, it'll be given away to the local veteran that we built it for. I want to say a big thank you to Bill for the majority of the parts and the insight on how these things work. I don't know. Also want to say thank you to 24 Yep for all of the stickers that will be going with this thing. So until next time, we will see you next week when we find some new project to start. Still trying to figure out what that's going to be, but I have some big plans, and they only partially involve the semi. See you next week.